Willkommen. My name is Sean Huggins. I'm an American living in Germany, and on this channel, I'm looking to learn all about life in Germany and Europe in general through watching silly videos and stuff on the internet with you guys. So, if you enjoy, consider subscribing. We got new videos every single day, and let's just hop straight into it. So, I saw this video and it caught my eye. I thought that it might be interesting. It's called Europe is Too Old, which is a very bold title for a YouTube video. And yeah, I thought that it would be interesting because that's a bold claim. So I don't know. Let's see. But shout out to old European people. If you're watching this and you're an old European person, shout out to you. You're doing great, okay? It's fine. You're doing great.
What you're looking at is a population pyramid for the European Union.
Okay.
It shows the percentage of the population at different stages of life. The percentage of people within the retirement bracket, the people that are of working
But that doesn't look like that many old people, though.
age that support the elderly population through their
Let's
taxes,
find out more.
and the youngest, ranging from late 20s to teenagers and children. A population pyramid is one of the most robust visuals for understanding society because it's one of the clearest for identifying a particular stage of development in a country. This pyramid shows that Europe's fertility rate is declining. The share of Europe's population that is old is increasing, and the share of the population that is young is declining.
When the working class gets old, there's not going to be enough people to support them. That's okay.
And I think it needs to be abundantly clear to people why continued quick decline in fertility rates is a problem and why it's a particular problem for Europe.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. People don't got no money. Like, between all of the bills doubling or tripling since COVID, not to mention, like, the housing market going absolutely crazy. People are losing their jobs left, right, and center. Like, people just don't have any money, and you need money to have kids. You just do. Even here in Germany, where you actually get paid when you have kids, and the free schooling and the free healthcare and all these different benefits, it's not always enough. Kids are freaking expensive, man. Like, there's no way around it, you know? And people just don't have money.
Stages. Stage 1 is when death and birth rates are both high. Pre-industrialization, this was the reality for most of human society throughout history.
That makes sense.
Stage 2 is when death rates begin to fall, but birth rates remain high. General standards of living improve, which reduces the death rates, but high fertility still seems economically useful. The more children, the more potential providers when you're older. Stage 3 is when birth rates also begin to play catch up. This is usually the result of children having a lower benefit than they used to, and improvements in women's position in society reducing the demand for them to bear children. Where Europe and the rest of the developed world is around stage 4. Death rates are low and birth rates are also low, and around 1/2 of the world's population lives in countries below the fertility rate that would keep their populations constant. Europe has a 1.53 fertility rate, and without including migration, Europe would be experiencing a population decline. What will come after stage 4 is unclear. Death rates will probably stay low. What will happen to fertility is something we still need to figure out. Some say it will increase back to around 2.1, the replacement fertility, while others paint a bleaker picture, that birth rates will continue to decline. The logic is relatively
Why old people matter? That's a crazy question to ask.
simple. Old people cost money, and Europe is going to have a lot of them.
Yeah?
The key measure here to understand is the old age dependency ratio, the amount of working age people that support a single elderly person.
I
Most
understand.
European state pension systems have a large part coming from a pay-as-you-go system, which means the retirement benefits of the current retirees are being financed by the people who are currently working, with the expectation that future generations will finance you when you're older. Over the next couple of decades, as the amount of old people increases in Europe and the amount of young people reduce, the dependency ratio will push pension expenditures to increase. For every person in the EU older than 65 years old in 2019, there were almost 3 people aged between 20 and 64. By 2040, this ratio would fall to just 2, decreasing further to 1.7 people of working age for every person older than 65 years old in 2070.
That's significant.
Old people carry costs, much like incredibly overweight people do. You have a pool of insurance money that is spent when a person requires medical assistance. Increase the amount of people in that pool that have a higher likelihood to need medical assistance, and you can expect the insurance money to need to rise in turn. What makes this situation more uncomfortable is that the stage of future developments in health technology is relatively uncertain. If we were to just account for the age increases, we can expect public health expenditure in the EU to grow from 6.6% of GDP to 7.7%.
Whoa.
However, if we saw an increasing life expectancy with little to no gains in health status for the old, you could imagine it becoming even more expensive.
Whoa.
People matter because people produce, and people at different stages of their life produce in different amounts. Although it might be potentially a taboo topic, a declining share of the population that is young may put more pressure on the relevancy of Europe. And
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's pause it here. Founder age distribution, top 1% growth startups. So basically, the age of people that start successful businesses, the average age for a European that starts a successful business is almost 50 years old, but lagging just a little bit behind is America at the high 40s as well. And then if you look all the way down to India is under 40 years old. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting to see.
I can assure you, will not be the only place you'll see making this argument. Europe is the oldest continent on average, and its share of global GDP is declining.
Whoa.
There really aren't any perfect solutions to this problem. You can make older generations work longer, boost migration to increase the labor force, and incentivize Europeans to have more children. But each of these solutions comes with their own set of difficulties.
Like what?
In 2019, Macron tried to raise the pension age from 62 to 64. However, when Macron took actions to increase the retirement age, which would have reduced the burden on the taxable class in the future, this wasn't taken lightly.
Oh! I do know that the French love a good protest. They love a good riot, and they've been doing it a lot the past few years, and I didn't keep up with why they're doing it, but now I know. Now I know why.
Another potential solution that's much less controversial is migration. Need more people that can support the elderly population, just bring in more workers. But there's a trade-off here.
That's hard to do, though, I feel like.
Migration to make a serious enough dent in the trajectory towards an aging European society. Also, the impacts of migrants is relatively unknown. It's not that migrants wouldn't have any impact on the burden of social programs, but in the same way that improving health technology is something that we can't exactly predict, the marginal benefits of a specific migrant and their associated impact on the tax base is also relatively unknown.
Right. So basically, when a migrant comes to Europe, you don't know if they're going to be like a high performer that earns a lot of money and therefore pays a lot of taxes and basically pays for themselves and other people through the taxes that they pay over their career in Europe. They could come to Europe and basically just live off of the government or something similar, or not really pay for their own way, so to speak. So you just don't really know. It could potentially be hit or miss with migrant workers, I suppose.
In addition, arguing about whether migrants should or should not be encouraged to enter the European Union is also a relatively useless discussion because Europe might not even be in a position where they can get enough migrants to make a noticeable impact on the old age dependency ratio in the first place.
Wow.
There are other countries out there that are also facing the same problems, and they will also be on the market for a labor force that can boost the overall tax base and reduce a deficit. That's also why it should be of no surprise that the EU is reforming their migration policies in order to attract more highly skilled workers through making things like their Blue Card initiative, which is basically a European Green Card, more generous.
Yeah, I mean, Germany's doing all kinds of stuff to try to get more migrant workers. This video was published a year ago, and Germany has done a lot of stuff since then, actually, to try to encourage more migrant workers to come to Germany to bolster the workforce. It's too early to tell if it's going to work or not, but they're trying, definitely trying.
Europeans also intimately understand that increasing support for larger inflows of migrants is probably politically infeasible, and could legitimize critiques by the European electorate who are concerned that they've delegated too much authority to an institution that removes their ability of choosing who they want to come into their country or not. Higher shares of older populations are associated with anti-EU votes, and although the literature has been mixed on this, research by the European Commission itself has reported that there is an association between the presence of migrants from outside of the EU and a respective anti-EU vote.
Oh, that's interesting. So basically, when migrants come from outside of Europe into Europe, then they start to vote for stuff that is not typical in European countries, I suppose. That makes sense, I guess. And then the native Europeans don't really like that. They want things to kind of stay the same. And you have some problems there, I suppose.
Obviously, the anti-EU sentiment can be mediated by the skill level of the migrant, but it does put the European Union in a potentially uncomfortable scenario. Reduce some of the pressure on its social programs by bringing in an external labor force, but risk anti-establishment sentiment. In 2019, Viktor Orban unveiled his Family Protection Action Plan, which would give potentially thousands of euros to women who give birth to enough children, offering 30,000 euros of interest-free loans that would be cancelled upon the birth of a woman's third child. Although seemingly popular among Orban supporters and also weirdly among conservative pundits in the United States, just injecting money and hoping to produce babies is more difficult than it seems.
Dude, that's a lot of money to have some babies. That's crazy.
And it'll probably take a while before we see any long-term impact.
Wow.
Assuming that these policies will make a significant dent, there's also an important question about which one comes first. Interest-free loans of 30,000 are by no means cheap, so can they work in time to offset the additional costs that an increasingly older population will produce? To find an answer to that question is a matter of time. The reason why Europe may face a larger problem
I'm kind of nervous now. This video got me all nervous.
With its dependency ratio than a country like the United States, besides the fact that the US is younger generally, is that the EU's legitimacy is still more precarious as a political institution. The EU Schengen area made it possible for Europeans to move between borders and is seen as an overall net positive. But the ability for Europeans to move freely between borders may also exacerbate pressures on the countries that are facing an increasingly older population. Rural regions continue to decline in population, while urban regions continue to grow. And this phenomenon does not just happen within countries, but, more importantly, concerning the stability of the entire European Union, it happens between countries within Europe. As there is an outward migration of younger people to urban centers due to better economic opportunities, Central and Eastern European countries will continue to face even more demographic pressure.
Oh crap, so everyone's moving away from the farmland and into the cities, it would seem. I happen to do the complete opposite. I lived in a city in America. I lived in a bunch of different cities in America, actually. And then when I moved here to Germany, I'm in the farmlands, so interesting.
It can weaken their economic growth and social support systems. And when that happens enough, for a long enough time, that people get increasingly concerned about their younger neighbors leaving for better economic opportunities elsewhere, the ramifications for the political institution that seems like it is accelerating that process can be huge.
Whoa. Wow. Man, so EU has a real problem with becoming more and more aged, I guess. I think we have this problem in America as well. In the video, the guy says that in general, America is a little bit younger than the European Union, but this is still a talking point in America too. And yeah, I think in the developed world, it's just like everything is so expensive. People are just not having kids like they used to because they can't afford it. Even though there are a lot of places that do everything that they can to make it affordable, it's still just, there's only so much that you can do. Kids are so expensive nowadays, you know? I'm curious to see how the birth rate changes in the European Union as they try to incentivize having children more and more through all of these benefits that they already have, let alone probably new ones or better ones. I guess only time will tell. But I leave it to you guys. What do you guys think? Is now the time to have babies in Europe? Is it too late? Do we have to have the old people work until they're 90 years old? What's the solution? What are your ideas? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious what you guys think about this. But that's all the time that I have for today. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. We got new videos every single day. Check the links in the description for all of my other social media, including my vlog channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. And as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.